There we are.
Hey,
Well,
everybody.
welcome to this week's Happy Half Hour. I'm David Shakavich.
And I'm Sam Shukavich, and we are Carolina Retirement Planners. And I'm
And
sorry we're a little bit late today. We had some technical difficulties, but Amy got us through them like a champ. And
as you know, behind the scenes is Amy who makes all this work, because we're actually doing this on Zoom, feeding the Zoom into Facebook and all. Go figure. What a world we live in. So it's just good fun. Good fun. Well, Sam, how was your week? What's
oh man,
what's up with you?
well, what's really cool is we went from it being so hot out, just incredibly hot, heat index over 110, to really chilly, and now to turning the heat on cold, and now we're somewhere in the middle. Like, I'm just going to turn everything off and open the windows.
This is the idyllic weather. It was sort of weird last week. I don't know about you folks, but we went from like air conditioning to heat, in a couple of hours. It just flipped amazingly. And we always like to think, what day is it? What day is today?
So today is National Remember Me Day. Basically, which you may say, well, what's that? Well, essentially,
What's that?
it's a day kind of commemorating to raise awareness for adopting pets. Kind of like, hey, remember me? I'm here at the shelter and I need some love. And so this is really exciting for us because both of us have adopted, kindly rescued our strange little animals from.
That's right. My wife and I have a little peekapoo called Dogma, and we got him 10 years ago from a rescue place called Mustard Sandwich up near Hampstead or someplace like that. And what your dog? When did you get your dog?
Oh, I got her. I got her right when I met my husband, or right when I reconnected with my husband, Neil. He had come over for the first time, and we had dinner, and then the next time he came over a week or so later, I had this dog, and they kind of like vied for my attention. But now they love each other like crazy, so it's great.
Yeah, and let's see who's been joining us here. We have Bill and Rick and probably Marcy, I bet, and Miranda.
And Paula and Dick.
Yeah, just good to see you all.
And just a reminder for anyone who's just joining us for the first time, we cannot see or we can't tell that you're here unless you type in a comment. So if you want us to know that you're here, just say, hey, we'd love to hear from you. Dad, are you drinking the same thing as normal for our happy half hour, or have you spiced it up?
I'm drinking my herbal tea, which is probably wise if I'm going to talk for half an hour, but I will make up for it later, I promise.
Well, I believe you for sure.
I had a Manhattan last night, in fact. It was
last night we had the most beautiful bottle of sparkling rosé from South Africa. It was incredible. But that is not what I'm drinking today. This is kind of cool. I am drinking, one of the bartenders at Neil's work at Waterline Brewery is a home brewer, and he brought a few bottles of this amber ale that he made for the brewers to try, to kind of tell him how he's doing. So that's what I'm drinking right now, is a home brewed amber.
And also a reminder to folks, if you're on Facebook there, you can see down below there's a place called share. If you click share and then click watch party, it'll basically send it out to people on your list and say, hey, I'm here with Happy Half Hour, and they can come join us as well. It's kind of a way to get people, give them exposure to us and the wisdom we try to impart here in this half hour, along with whatever else we're imparting as we go along. So go click share and then click watch party.
And if you share this, share the email, share it by word of mouth, shoot us an email and let us know, and we'll enter you into our wine drawing. One of our favorite things every week is that we give away 2 bottles of wine. And all you have to do is either share with a friend and let us know, or shoot us an email throughout the week and send us a question. And it actually, we've come to realize that over 15 weeks, maybe you've run out of questions. So just shoot us an email and let us know you want to be entered, and we'll be happy to enter you into the drawing.
Okay. And I think I see Ed and Nina and another Ed and
Oh, we got both Ed
Kay,
and Kay. And I'm assuming Ken is with you. And
Jim.
Jacqueline. Oh, and Paula has had 6 rescue dogs over the years.
Wow.
Oh, we've got a lot of people who've adopted animals. We would, and one of the things that we love is seeing people's animals. So feel free, if you want to enter for next week, you can send us a picture of your adopted pet, and that will count too. We'd love to see.
Who knows? Maybe not next week, but if you send us some pet pictures, maybe one day we'll do a quick pet show for a couple of minutes, showing all the pictures to everybody. So that'd be a cool idea. Send us your picture of your pet, and we're going to do, not for the whole time, but at least for a brief break, we'll do kind of a pet menagerie here on the screen.
Oh, I like that. Hey, Dad, did you see that Nina likes my look today? My glasses.
Oh yeah, yeah. You got that intellectual look there with those glasses.
I know. I like to give my eyes a break from the contacts every once in a while, and so decided to go for it today.
Okay. One thing we're going to talk about. What is our subject today?
Okay, so last week, in commemoration of Life Insurance Awareness Month, which is September, we kind of went over why retirees would need life insurance.
That was a popular one too.
Yeah, and so as we were finishing, we realized that there were still a few things that we wanted to talk about, still some questions to be answered. And in addition, people care about taxes, whether they're reducing taxes, trying to reduce taxes for themselves, for their family members. And so when we're looking at Roths and life insurance, that's kind of what you're doing, is trying to get yourself at a tax advantage. So what we wanted to do is, put them up against each other, have a little 1-2 punch, and
so in the comments, if you're using either a Roth or life insurance to reduce your taxes or pass more money on tax-free, type in, let us know that you're doing that. So we can get a little idea how many people are doing what. We see, I think Robert and Paula and Tom and Carter's here, Jay and Carter, Michael, Mike and Margie. Good to see you all with us. So, we should explain, we're gonna have to do some explaining to get across this idea.
Dad, do you think that maybe it would help if you went to the drawing board?
Yeah, we should probably go to the whiteboard to do this, because it's always good to see visuals. So I'm going to switch cameras to the whiteboard, and Sam's going to try to disappear. So
I'll disappear.
So you can just see me.
And while he's getting up there, hey, Bob and Val and Tom and Rich and Pat and Judy. Oh, Ken's not here. He's at the plant, but that's cool. Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. You may proceed.
Well, one of the ways to save taxes is to pay taxes under your conditions. Pay taxes when your rate is going to be lower than the future. But when you pay it, you want to move it somewhere. Ideally, you want to move it to a place where you can grow the money tax-free. And there's 2 places you can do that. So let's pretend let's pretend that you have, you might have an IRA here, and a second way to do it is with the IRA here. Now, by now, if you've been hanging around Happy Half Hour or gone to one of our classes or visited rogo.com, don't forget to write this down if you don't have it, rogo.com, one of our educational sites with lots of video, particularly on taxes. If you have an IRA, you realize that part of the IRA belongs to the IRS. This is the money you owe in taxes. And part of the money is the money you get to keep. It's you know, so the whole IRA is not yours. Now, if I want to save on taxes, there's two ways I can convert it. One thing I can do is I can move this to a Roth. And if I move this to a Roth, it'll grow tax-free forevermore. And if I leave it to my spouse, I leave it to my kids, my grandkids, it'll be tax-free.
Cool.
But when I convert it, I really, you know, in a sense, I don't get any more than the money that was there. If I convert it to life insurance, I'll get a whole lot more money in death benefit. Instead of getting just this much, I'll get a whole lot more.
Okay.
And buried inside this will be some amount of cash, some amount of value. And so you can see that when it comes to inheritance, there's two ways to do it. If I convert to a Roth, I'm going to leave them less money than if I convert to life insurance. If I die here, they get this much. If I die here, they get a whole lot more. I kind of get all the gains up front, but I kind of got to die to do that.
Well, hey, if we're talking about Roth versus life insurance, say you croak and I could get either one from you. The Roth, tell me about after it becomes mine, how it grows and what happens to taxes after the life insurance.
This is where it gets interesting. And it got a whole lot more interesting on January 1st of this year when they changed the law. It used to be, if, for instance, I died and left this money to Samantha, you know, prior to this year, she'd have to start taking RMDs on this. She'd have to start taking it out every year. Under the new law, she doesn't have to take anything out for 10 years. So she can let this grow and grow and grow for 10 years. And at the last day of those 10 years, she can take it all out tax-free. So under the new rules, Roths that you leave to your kids or grandkids get 10 years of tax-free growth if you know how to do it right.
Oh, wow. So maybe you get more up front with the life insurance, inheriting a life insurance policy, death benefit versus the Roth, but the Roth will grow longer.
And it kind of depends. If you do this, if you convert to a life and you live for 30 years, you still get that amount. If you convert to a Roth 30 years later, the Roth may be worth as much as the life insurance.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of things. This is where we help in figuring out what people need, what their situations are, what's important to them. So so what else is important in these conversions? What else should we think about, Sam?
Growth.
Oh, that was this part here.
Okay. Well, what about ages? How does age come into play here?
Now this is another key difference. If I have an IRA, I can convert it to a Roth at any age, and I don't have any penalty involved. In other words, if I say I want to convert this IRA to a Roth, and I can pay the taxes with money that's not in the IRA, I have other money to pay it, I can convert it at any age, and there's no 10% penalty. But with the life insurance conversion, if I'm under 59 and a half and I take the money out and put it here, I'm going to have to pay a 10% penalty plus the tax on that conversion. So this is somewhat favorable to rescue money from taxes if you're under 59 and a half, and this is a little better if this works if you're over. So another thing to think about in this complicated world. What else we got to worry about?
Well, let's talk about income. What if instead of just wanting to have this money to pass on to your heirs, your kids, whomever. What if you want to use this money? What if you think you're going to use it in your lifetime?
So let's think about income. Now, if you convert to a Roth, we're starting talking about converting because most people on this call are retired. They've already got their IRA. We'll talk a little bit about new money at the end. But if we convert to a Roth and we're over 59 and a half, I can pretty much use this money right away. I can get income from that, take it out at will. It's a little different with life insurance, and I need to step back and talk about life insurance, the two ways to configure it, the two ends of the spectrum.
Okay.
If my goal is to leave money, as much money to my spouse, maybe for a pension drop or a Social Security drop, or I want to leave money to the kids, I want to buy as much death benefit as possible. So I'm going to buy a policy, and these are permanent policies, usually universal life, maybe whole life. And I'm going to buy a policy that lets me put as little cash in there as possible and get as much death benefit. But I might want the income in later years instead. I may want to configure it. And the money inside a life policy acts like a Roth IRA. As it grows, I don't pay tax, and I can take it out as a loan, and there's no tax on a loan. And then when I die, the death benefit pays off the loan. So if I want to do it for income, I'm going to build a policy with lots of cash and as little death benefit as possible, so I don't have to pay the cost on the death benefit. I want to minimize that. So you can set it up two different ways. But here's the thing. If I do this, it usually takes about 10 to 15 years till the growth on this gets to the point where it's really going to start giving me lots of income. So you don't do this if you need the money in the short term. The Roth is better, but this can really sink. So if you were 60 and did this, this would be money you would plan to use when you're 75 or so. And, but you know, we're going to need money when we're 75. So it's nice to have another asset class that we can put it in. So that's all part of the design.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and that answers. Ed had a question about liquidity. What if I needed for an emergency? You know, using the Roth versus insurance, and I think you kind of answered that there.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, you know, if you've allowed the life insurance, if you're trying to solve for income, if you've let that grow for 10 or 15 years, then you have good access to that. But in those first 15 years, that is not going to be where I would go for your liquidity.
No, and the other thing about this is if I convert to a Roth or put money into a Roth, I can do a little bit every year. And if I want to stop, I can stop if something comes up. When I'm doing a life policy, particularly, I'm kind of committing to X dollars for so long. It's not something you want to do for 1 or 2 years and stop. You're kind of got to make more of a commitment, but with that comes some other benefits.
Yeah, can we talk a little bit about the structure to how much you can put into each, how much you can contribute to each, and how you determine that?
If you're converting from a IRA to a Roth, there's really no limit to how much you can convert. And those of you who've worked with us know we have all kinds of calculators that show you the headroom in your tax bracket and how much you should convert in a year. If you go higher, you'll pay more in taxes than you have to. So you usually convert it in chunks. If you're putting new money in, there's a limit to how much you can put in. One, new money has to come from wages. You got to have a job and have a W-2 income to put new money in. And what's the limit on how much you can put in, Sam?
If you are under 50, you can contribute $6,000. If you are over 50, you can do $7,000.
Right. So you got much less here. In terms of life insurance, if you want to pump money away tax-free and you're working, there's no limit to how much you can put in here. You can construct it to put lots of it. A lot of doctors and people earning lots of money will set this up because it allows them to to save more money tax-free than, say, the Roth IRA does.
Yeah.
What else we got to worry about here?
When they can start.
When they can start putting money in, or when they can start taking it out, or
I don't know. Why don't we talk about long-term care
we
then?
covered that already.
Okay, why don't we talk about long-term care?
That's another aspect that is really cool.
Yeah, how many people here are concerned about long-term care for the future? We talked a little bit about this last week, but how many of you look at a traditional long-term care policy and realize this may not be viable for me in my situation?
Yeah, the traditional policies are kind of dead. You wouldn't buy them now, they're too expensive. You know, when you convert to a Roth for long-term care, you can basically get the Roth. Here's what the life insurance companies have done. The life insurance companies have said, if you get a policy, it's got to be the right policy. There's policies that have this option. If you need long-term care, even at home, you meet the right criteria. They say, well, you're probably pretty close to death anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to let you spend this down for long-term care. They'll typically let you get about 20% a year. They'll let you get that out over 5 years. And then if you die early, whatever's left still goes to your heirs. So basically, you can have your life insurance do double duty. If you want to pass money on to your spouse and kids, and you have a policy designed to do that, and then you need long-term care, you can spend that down and not have to go into your other funds to do it. This is called asset-based long-term care. And it's one of the powerful things now that are here. We got just a few minutes. We should maybe jump to new money. We did cover that. If we have a limit to how much new money can go in. One of the nice things about this is where we find we use it a lot is someone will come to us and say, can you help my kids out? We find someone, they're working, they're making a good salary, and they want to save. We'll put money into a life insurance policy. And if they're 35 and pay in for 30 more years, boy, this can really be a great source of income in retirement. In the meantime, if they're in their 30s, they probably have kids and college and things to protect. So they have the life insurance there too. So it can work right if you use it right. It's just life insurance has gotten added a lot of features lately. So that's kind of a quick lowdown on the battle between the Roth and life insurance. It seems a little complicated, it is, but that's what we're here for. Sam, we're getting close to the hour, but we better go to kind of wrapping up here.
Yeah. Well, when I look at what you've just presented, ultimately, in the battle between the Roth IRA and life insurance, both can be appropriate for a particular situation. It's not one size fits all. With planning like this, what you've got to do is really think about what your goals are in retirement, what that money is really for you, and then utilize these as tools to help you reach it.
And some people might use a little of each.
Exactly. And some people may not like the Roth, and some people might like the life. It depends on your temperament and the ways that you want to structure this.
The other thing I might mention is if you're on this call, our clients are used to, we've done a lot of this analysis. If you're on this call and you would like to kind of look at your world and see what this is and sit down and talk to Samurai, there's a couple of ways you can do it. The simplest way is just to call 815-3100. I should probably write it down. This is our office number, and you can call that and say, hey, Susan, can you set me up a meeting with David or Sam? could be a 15-minute phone call, could be a Zoom meeting. But if you'd like a little help talking about this or some of the other topics, you come to these, you sit on, laugh at our jokes, and each week, we can have a meeting and you with just, again, of course, no cost obligation. So I thought I'd put that out there.
I'm sorry if I look distracted, but I'm looking at my little adopted mutt chase a turtle through the yard. I don't know who's winning. Well, hey, we have 2 questions that I want to ask real quick before we do this drawing, and they should be pretty simple to answer. And one is, are there any restrictions on how many conversions from a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA that you can do within a year or any given time frame? Can you do them as frequently as you want, or are you limited?
I think the law on that just changed, and I'm trying to dredge it up. I think you can convert a given set of money once a year, and it's once a year, not a calendar year, but a year. But you can do more if you do multiple ones from other places. That gets a little.
I thought I was under the impression that you could do as many Roth conversions as you wanted.
I think you can convert as many as you want, but if you convert, I think you're right. I'm thinking of something else. Sorry.
Are you thinking of a rollover?
I'm thinking of rollover. Yeah.
Of a rollover.
Yeah.
The answer is, if you want to do conversions, you can do as many as you want. It's just all of them are going to show up as taxable income on your taxes. So it's really important to be aware of how much you're converting and to kind of be looking at the headroom in your bracket.
Yeah, we got a lot of fancy software to help with all those calculations. So.
And the very last question, I'm sorry, Dad, is does it really matter for Roth versus non-Roth if you're already in a low tax bracket?
I think if you're in a low tax bracket, you should take advantage of it and convert to a Roth, because the tax bracket may go up in the future. If you are married, it's going to go up when one of you die. If you're single, boy, we are so far in debt in this country. The last time we were this far in debt was as a ratio between our debt and our economy was World War II. They raised the taxes after World War II to where the highest marginal rate, which is now like 37%, went up to 94%. So if you're in a low bracket, always pay taxes don't assume you're going to stay there. Don't assume you're going to stay there.
It also depends on what your goals are. How much IRA or tax deferred money do you have? Are you planning on passing that on to your child who may be in a higher tax bracket? So there are certain situations where it absolutely makes sense. All right. Well, the moment that everyone's been waiting for is our wine drawing. And those of you who were with us last week, my hat has turned into a wooden shoe. I'm staying in my in-laws' house while our house gets worked on, and they lived in Holland for a time. So this is what I found. I thought it was kind of fun. So just remember, any of you guys can enter. All you have to do is send us an email telling us that you shared this with a friend, or telling us you want to be in the wine, get in the wine entry, or send us a question. So we want to enter you in here. And I've been mixing these up while we've been speaking. Okay. Our winner today is Eileen and Wayne. So congratulations, Eileen and Wayne. You have won the wine this week.
Okay. Delivered to your door.
Straight to your door. And we give you good wine too.
Next week, Happy Half Hour is very special.
Yes.
There's 2 things that are important in retirement or throughout your life, but in retirement. One is your money, and then we try to help with money. The other is your health. To some extent, if you don't have health, the money doesn't mean anything. Next week, we're going to be joined by Dr. Slade Suchecki. He is a concierge doctor with MD VIP, and he's going to talk to us about that program. And I'm going to tell my own personal story because luckily one of my clients, a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago or so, told me about this doctor he had, his concierge doctor. And I went to them, and basically because the fact that I did essentially saved my life. I had some problems about 2.5 years ago, and I'm pretty convinced that if I had not done that, I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today. And so I want to share this with you. It's going to be I'm going to share the whole story, and we're going to talk to Slade, and it'll be very educational. I know many of you may benefit from this. You should at least know about it. So we're going to talk about health next week and some of the new things that you can do there. And it's going to be fun. And Sam's going to be on vacation. She may not be able to make it. She's going to be traveling the mountains. So we'll see if she's able to zoom in or not, but we'll see. Okay. Well, with that, it is 5:02. We just ran a tad over, but everybody, cheers.
Cheers.
Have a good week. And we will see you on next Thursday, 4:30 for Happy Half Hour.